Hey guys, today's video is another installment on the Psychology of Building series that I'm doing. Today's video is really important in my opinion, and it is titled, Why is it so stressful to build a house? So, this may seem like an obvious question. Hey, building a house is obviously going to be stressful, right? But for a lot of people, it is really stressful. They're filled with anxiety, stress, sometimes frustration. And I wanted to do a video for those of you out there who are either in the middle of building or maybe thinking about building or about to start building to kind of give you some idea of what you may be going through. And then just generally speaking, why this process is kind of stressful. The first thing I'm going to talk about is the importance of a house. So I have told friends and family over the years that I can't imagine there is many other businesses out there where the customers, i.e. my homeowners, have more emotional involvement than they do in building a home other than healthcare. I always say that. I get it when it's life and death. That's a whole other level of emotional involvement. But when you're building a house, there is a lot of emotional involvement, attachment, whatever you want to call it, to this project. Why is that? You know, there's other things that we buy and pay for that we don't feel the same way with. I had a friend one day when talking about this kind of stuff say, well, it's the most money anybody ever spends on anything. And that is true. The money is a major factor about the way people feel about this process. You can't take that away from the equation. People are spending $200,000, $500,000, $1 million, multi-million related to or relative to what people make and what their situation is. It's always a lot of money. And so it kind of stands to reason the more money we spend on something, the more involved and emotionally involved with it we are. We're really frustrated if we buy a new car and something goes wrong with it versus if we buy something cheap off Amazon. And that's a great example too about the involvement from the monetary standpoint, but also a little bit from the emotional standpoint. And when I say emotional standpoint, let's imagine this happened to me recently. I bought some Bluetooth headphones off of Amazon and they weren't great, right? I paid $35 for them. I don't know, they didn't sound good, they didn't fit well. A little bummed out for all of a minute or two, and then I put them in a drawer and went back and bought the old pair that I already had and liked. Move up the ladder on things and you can be a little more emotionally involved because of what you spent on it. We go all the way to probably the second most expensive thing a lot of us pay for, which is a car. Modern day cars and trucks are really expensive. They also are a big part of our lives. To some degree, they can even represent us. Hey, I'm a sports car guy or girl, or I'm a pickup truck guy or girl. But for the most part, it's something that we have some excitement about when we're first doing it. Hey, look at my new car. We're proud to be driving it for a few weeks, and then it blends into the background. And you know what? It's a vehicle. It's a depreciating asset that we're probably not going to keep forever. And so our amount of involvement or emotional attachment to it is somewhat limited. Now, let's talk about a house. This is a completely different animal from the standpoint of our feelings about it, our emotional attachment to it. It's not just how much we're spending on it. It is where we're going to live. It's a huge life-changing event to move from one place that we've been in. Maybe we've only been in for a year or two, but some of my customers have been in that previous home for 20 years, 25 years. This is a big life-changing event to be moving into this new house. It's also representing you. It is something you may live in for the rest of your life. You may pass it on to your kids. So there's a huge amount of importance in a house. It's also something you're going to spend more time in than anything else that you would ever possibly buy, right? So there are just these huge emotional involvement and attachment to it that when we're building it, we pay so much more attention to this than we do other things. So that's the number one reason, in my opinion or view, of why it can be stressful. It's because we're putting a lot of importance on this thing than we do with other things that we buy. The number two reason I think we get stressed, feel anxiety, and all these things about building a house is the unique production methods of building a house. What's unique about it? Well, to the best of my knowledge, it is literally the only thing out there that you will pay for that you also get to see it manufactured. In the end, that's what's happening. A home builder is manufacturing a house. Same way Ford or Chevy manufacture a car or truck, or Apple manufactures our iPhone. We start from nothing and we build something for you. But you get to see it. You get to stand in it while it's happening. You get to watch the workers work. You can go out there with your tape measure if you want. And by the way, it is a huge, complex process. Yeah, it may be concrete, wood, all these things that we know and understand, but they all have to be put together by hand. Sure, some of the products are manufactured. The windows come out finished. The HVAC system comes out. But humans still have to go and put all those things in, make sure it's put in right, deal with every little thing, that they have to deal with when building a home. It is such a unique process. And it's not a process we get to see anywhere else with anything else that I can think of. When we buy a car, an iPhone, a couch, a TV, name your product, it's finished. We're buying it from a reseller. We're buying it from a dealer. And basically, we don't get to see the sausage made. There are some people I've known over the years that order their pickup trucks or their cars. Hey, I went down to the dealership and I wanted this truck with this trim level and these features. But all they're really doing is ordering all the same features and trim level that any of us could go around to a car lot and find. Maybe it has the color they want on the inside and the outside. And so they're fine-tuning it a little bit. But they're not going down to the Ford factory where they're building the F-150, walking in there, handing the production manager a sketch of an F-150, but with some changes. And by the way, putting all kinds of things in it that aren't part of the normal trims. And then when it's halfway down the production line, walking out there and stopping it and going, well, I want to change some things. Maybe looking over the shoulder of the person or robot that is assembling something and have an opinion about how they're assembling it. All of these things, it sounds, funny, but think about it. What else can you do that with? Nothing that I know of, but you do it with home building. It's just the nature of the project. It's a huge scale. Of course, you can walk into a house that's being built and look at it. The same way I can see the guys building the highway as I'm driving down next to it. That's the thing about construction. It's a huge scale. It's not done in factories. It's not done with robots. And it comes with a lot more challenges. Part of seeing the sausage get made is you're seeing all the things that happen during construction. For the most part, this kind of stuff happens with every house that gets built. But for a lot of people, it's the first time they're going to see it and witness it. Some of the things that happen in construction probably happen or have an analogous thing happen in that Ford factory or in these other factories that are producing things, but we just don't ever see it. I'm sure there's mistakes that happen or issues with parts when that F-150 is being built and they have to stop the production line and all these kind of things happen. But again, we don't see it. We just build the nice finished product. And I've said this to people before that have gone through the building process. If you never saw this house get built and you just rolled up one day and bought the finished product, all you would know is it's beautiful. I love it. You basically had no backstory with it. But for those folks building homes, they get to see everything happen. They remember the process that they went through, and sometimes that it was trying. Sometimes it was, caused anxiety. Sometimes it was frustrating even to them. Because again, they got to be there through the whole thing. So again, very unique process having a house built. And I don't think this is something to take lightly. I think we need to think about the fact that, hey, we are taking on something that is unique in the manufacturing process, that we get to be a part of it. We get to have say in it. We get to see it all, warts and all, when it's being done. Now, the last thing I can talk about that I think causes stress, anxiety, frustration, and it can vary depending on which one you are is the personality type of the person having a home built for them. So if you're out there watching this and you are somebody that is going to have a house built, or you're in the middle of having a house built, or maybe you are somebody that is in the building industry, maybe you're a new builder and you're thinking, wow, I've got one customer over here that, I don't know, they've been easy to deal with, and I've got another one, they've been challenging for me. Well, 3 decades of doing this now, I'll never say I've seen it all, but I often joke I'm part builder, part armchair psychologist. I've seen enough of the different type of personalities in this process, which again has a lot of emotional involvement, just a lot of attachment to what's going on. And I've seen different people react differently based off their personality types. I'm not going to get in depth with the various personality types out there, but I'll mention a few that I've seen and kind of where they can have different ideas, different anxieties, different frustrations, during this process. So, I have some customers that I will put their personality into the easygoing, laid back, maybe call them the delegators. They are the people that they are comfortable delegating this process to the builder. They say, hey, you are the expert. I don't know, a 1% of what you know as a builder. I'm going to really be comfortable allowing you to take us through this process. These people aren't uninvolved in the process, but they are generally easy to deal with from the standpoint of I'm delegating to you, the builder. You know what you're doing. I'll have questions along the way. Again, we can be building very complex, big houses for these kind of personalities, but for the most part, nothing ever seems to get heated or emotional with them. There are personality types that I would call perfectionist types. They tend to focus more on a given item and think long and hard about it and take a long time to make a decision. Sometimes even after the decision has been made, they will linger on that item and that decision that they've made and keep thinking about it. We as a builder may have moved on, said, okay, they've made a decision to do X on this item. We're moving on to the next thing, but they haven't stopped thinking about it. I think this type of personality can have some anxiety because they are constantly thinking about the thing they just made a decision on, but possibly haven't moved away from it, really still lingering on it, thinking about it. Sometimes this type of personality comes back after making a decision and changes their mind again. If you think you have this type of personality, my best suggestion is to talk these things out with your builder, because the builder hopefully will have some good, advice on helping you make a decision that you're comfortable with. Another type of personality that I see a lot is the person who is unable to visualize what the house is going to look like, what any given install is going to look like. And I think these people feel a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety. That's because they cannot visualize looking at a floor plan, or maybe somebody has laid out tiles next to a countertop with the stain color of a cabinet. They just have a lot of stress trying to imagine how this is actually going to look. And it scares them or fills them with anxiety to make these decisions. So this would be the type of personality where the selections process would be, they'd be filled with anxiety or stress or, frustration or all the above. My suggestion, if somebody has this type of personality, if you feel like you have this kind of personality, is to use a designer, an interior designer. Well, let me back up. We can go to the floor plan design phase of it. Make sure that you are using a floor plan designer that can provide you with good 3D renderings and even 3D walkthroughs or visualizations of the inside of the house. Because looking at a two-dimensional floor plan drawing, I can look at that and visualize what the house is going to look like. The average person cannot. And if you are one of these kind of people that really can't visualize things at all, then you need that helping hand of somebody that can make it three-dimensional for you so you understand how this house looks when you're on the inside of it. Hey, a basic bedroom is pretty simple. 4 walls, a door, not a lot to have to look at on a 3D rendering. But a kitchen or a family room that maybe has a set of floating stairs over here, kind of between the foyer and the living room. I mean, you need something that shows you how that's really going to look. And then we've got the interior design standpoint. Again, this being the part that can really stress out the person who's not good at visualizing. You need that interior designer that you can trust to, determine what your general style is, and then come up with palettes, draw elevations for you. Elevations would be, hey, we're talking about putting stone on this wall, draw that up for you, show you 3D renderings of that. I think when this type of personality has that support of a plan design firm that can provide the 3D renderings and the walkthroughs, along with an interior designer that can do the same thing, that helps so much. Even though those people are not inexpensive to use, there can be value in that, let's put it that way, than somebody that is really stressed about making these decisions themselves. I hope this video helps some people out there that are going to go through the process. It's not going to necessarily prevent you from having these feelings, this stress, this anxiety, even the frustration you may feel. Some builders may be better than others at trying to help you through the process and help you not feel these feelings. I know if I've done anything in the last several years, it is that I've come a long way with this aspect of the business, the psychological side, trying to set expectations for customers, trying to help them understand what is going to happen during the process, what they should expect in the next phase of work. Because if you understand what's happening, you aren't going to show up to the job site and go, well, why was this done like this? If the builder has told you, hey, this is how this phase is going to go, then you will have a level of understanding when you show up on the job site and see things like that happening. If you have any questions about things as you're going through the process, the best thing I can tell you is to reach out to your builder. And one last suggestion, anytime you have something that you're really questioning about with your builder, get your builder to meet you at the job site and talk about it face to face. The amount of times I've had phone calls with people, text, even sending pictures back and forth, and there's still being a level of them maybe not understanding what I'm saying and vice versa. When you can get out there on the job site and stand right there and look at the concerned item or whatever the issue is that you have about it with the builder, it is so much easier for everybody to be on the same page and to get the issue resolved. Hope this video helps a little bit if you're getting into it. Once again, guys, appreciate you watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.